Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Everyday Woman podcast. Today we'll be talking postpartum. I have been thinking about my postpartum period and thinking about the things that I wish I knew or remembered from having my previous child, and I figured it's a conversation we need to have. So this is a mini episode, one of those that gets slid in outside of our regular episodes that we have. And today we'll be talking postpartum physical changes. We have a bunch of postpartum episodes, so go ahead and check those out. But today we're going to be talking physical postpartum changes that don't get talked about as much. So you got pregnant, you had a baby, this is an exciting time, and everybody expects you to just be in celebration mode, which you are because you're happy that you had a baby, right? And then your body starts acting funny. You're like, what is going on? So I'm calling this, I had a baby. Now what's happening to my body? We're going to start with the breasts, okay? We're going to start with things that happen right after you have the baby, we're going to start with the immediate postpartum stuff, and then we're going to expand further out. So we're going to start off with, okay, you had your baby, delivered your baby. If you had a C-section, then they had to make a surgical incision to deliver the baby. If you had a vaginal birth, then you had to push the baby out through your vagina, right? If you had a C-section, well, you're starting off right away with a surgical wound, with a wound on your stomach. So right there, you just got cut. Skin, muscle, cut all the way into the uterus to get the baby out. So now you're starting off this amazing moment with a surgical wound, right? And I'm laughing, but it is not as funny. And then if you had a vaginal birth, your baby came out, head out or, shoulder out, because these babies come out in different ways. Let me just say, it's not feet out. There are those babies too. But, let me say you had the baby, and then now you either, if you're lucky, your baby came out, you didn't have to have any tears. Not tears. Tears. T-E-A-R-S. Well, the other one is T-A-R-S too, but tears. You didn't have to have any tears, or maybe you did have to have tears. Maybe you got torn because the baby's, the head, it just stretched out all that little space to get out this head. Or you had an episiotomy, which is when a cut is made to allow the baby to come out without the baby tearing you. Because sometimes if the baby does the tear, the woman can get ripped. Not trying to be gross here. This is the nurse in me, okay? Now I'm in nursing teaching mode. So that's the woman's, vaginal opening. So sometimes the doctors will make a cut here with like a little snip, so you don't get ripped. Because sometimes if the baby does the ripping, you can rip all the way from like I call it the hoo-ha. Your vagina, that's what I call the hoo-ha. You can rip all the way from your hoo-ha all the way to your anus. Then you have like that's pretty, that'll have to be surgically repaired. But anyway, so let's get back to topic before I get diverted. So now you're starting off with that. So there's that sore right there. Even sitting is painful. Going to the bathroom, imagine you have a sore down there and like you want to pee or you want to like have a bowel movement. That's painful. But again, this is a joyous moment, right? The supposedly joyous moment where everybody around you is just like, oh my gosh, oh, the baby. You're sitting there, yeah, the baby, but I hurt everywhere. So, we just dealt with that area. Then in about 2 or 3 days, you start having your milk will come in. So you might most likely are at home now if you had the baby at the hospital. If you had the baby at home, then you're at home. So in the next 2 to 3 days, you're at the hospital or birthing center. But like next 2 to 3 days, now you're home, your milk starts coming in. If you're breastfeeding, that's, you're like, oh yeah, milk is coming in. Or you get nervous that, oh, the milk isn't coming in yet. If you're not breastfeeding, or you don't plan to breastfeed, then that's another thing too, because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to deal with this milk coming in that I'm not going to give the baby because you're expecting it to dry up, right? There are medications you can take to dry up your milk if that were something you were doing. Unfortunately, like moms who, God forbid, experience like child loss and stuff would take those type of medications. But back to the topic at hand. So if your milk starts coming in, then your breasts become engorged, swollen. When I tell you swollen and painful, to the point where you're like, whoa, headache. It's the pain is everywhere. It's like just a little touch. Somebody like nudges you, you're just like, because your breasts are swollen. Because your body has to adjust. So based on how the baby sucks, or if you pump, that's how your body adjusts to determine how much milk you have to make. But because you just had this new person come in, your body doesn't know what the baby's feeding patterns are or how often you're going to be feeding. So the body at first is going to be like, okay, just a little. Then sometimes it overproduces because your body hasn't figured out your rhythm yet. So until that happens, you are going to deal with engorgement. There are tips and tricks to deal with this. Some of them include, for some people, they'll stand under like water and just like massage the breasts to like warm water, not hot water. Like just massage, just like you're expressing the milk out yourself, like in that type of motion. Some people say to pump, but the other thing is when you're pumping, then the body thinks that's how much milk you need. So then the body's gonna be like, oh, she's taking all the milk that we're getting. Oh, so let me produce more. Some moms can tower through that, and that's not a problem for them because they're kind of like, well, I'm pumping, so I'm just going to, take the milk out. But if you're not planning to pump, you're planning to breastfeed, and the baby can't keep up with that, you're going to have to just power through. I remember frozen cabbage leaves, put it on there. If you take if you're clear to take Tylenol or something, that helps as well with the pain. What else are some tips for engorgement? If you can think of anything, type it down there, shoot me a message, just other tips to help other moms. But that's what I did, a lot of expressing, which again, I felt so bad because I'm like, I'm wasting this liquid gold, because that's what breast milk is, that liquid gold. I'm like, I'm wasting this liquid gold. But that helped. As far as, now let's move on from the breast, because the engorgement, that can hit you. You don't see it coming. These things are things you don't see coming, especially if you've never had a baby before, or if it's been a while. Because honestly, it for me, it was like 13 years in between, so I forgot most of the stuff, and I was younger, so my body, I think, was able to handle it better then, bounce back. This time around, my body was like, what's going on? Okay, abdominal stuff. So now we're constipation. That's another thing. You get constipated after having a baby. Constipation, you can have hemorrhoids. It was my first time ever having hemorrhoids in my life, like hemorrhoids as in things poking out of the anus, like, the things that should be in, out. Hemorrhoids. Yeah, that was painful. Had to get a suppository. Had to do stool softeners. Hydrate. High fiber foods. And hopefully you don't gotta go to the urgent care or something for it, because that could get pretty serious too. So constipation is another thing. Hemorrhoids. Incontinence. if you haven't had incontinence while you're pregnant, then after you have the baby, that might be a thing. Laugh too hard and a little tinkle comes out. That's because of the pressure, the baby's pressure on your like your uterus, not your uterus, your urethra, where you pee. The pressure of that, muscles loosen, and just things. Having a baby just loosens things, a lot of things. Whether it's your hoo-ha, whether it's the back muscles, whether it's your skin, which is our next thing, because those stretch marks, that darkening of the skin, loose skin, because things are stretched out. Now the baby's out, all the stretched out things are trying to figure out where they need to go, so they're just hanging loose in different places. And if you breastfeed, and then when you're done breastfeeding, again, things just loose and hanging around the place. So that's the other thing. Skin, stretch marks, loose skin, darkened patches, like darkened discoloration with your skin. Back pain because ligaments stretch as well, just with having to carry the support of, support that pregnancy. So the back pain is there, lower back pain. I did say the vaginal tears, like if you have, why do I keep saying tears? Tears. No, not tears. Tears. Oh, I said it right. Vaginal tears, like if you had, like I said, a vaginal birth, then that soreness. This is not like 1 or 2 day thing. This is like weeks, months. Having a baby is an amazing thing, but I'm just saying we have to be realistic, because we just have to be realistic that this is what having a baby is like, or what you have to deal with. The other thing is hair loss. Oh yes. So between month 2 to month 4, you start noticing hair loss. I can't show this right now because I have these braids in, but your hair is falling out. Just your hair's falling out. Again, all of this stuff doesn't happen to everybody, but these are things that happen that everybody who is planning to have a baby, or who is pregnant, or who has forgotten what it was like the first time or the second times or even the last time, but you're just like, because once we have the baby, it's just such a joyous thing, and like as time goes on, just like they say time heals everything, it's like you kind of forget that, because while you're having a baby, you're like, I am never doing this again. God forbid if you didn't take an epidural. Even if you took an epidural, listen, whether it was an epidural, non-epidural, C-section, once you're in the mix, you're kind of like, some women, some of us, I'm gonna say us, are like, I am never doing this again, this is it. And then after a few years, you're just like, oh, I think I could go one more. So yeah, that's the other thing. Hair loss, same. It's due to changes in hormone levels, because when women are pregnant, your nails, your hair, everything is all, that bounce, that just full of hormones. Everything's glowing, skin is glowing, hair is luscious and just shiny, and then once you have the baby or the babies, the drop in hormone levels just goes, and then things start falling off, hair, all of that. And then another one, this one's funny, but so you know how like your feet can swell when you're pregnant, right? Another thing that can happen is you can have a change in your foot size. So like how if I started off an 8. Right now I'm a size 9. Literally, I'm a size 9. So I started off as a size 8. I went to 8.5. Like around the time I had my son, now I'm a size 9. So women have a change in foot size. I actually was talking to a girlfriend of mine about this yesterday, because she was like size. It was the same thing with her. She said she gained half a size with her first pregnancy, and now she's half a size up. So literally a full size. So like your swelling happens and then it goes back to, but for some reason, for some women, it doesn't go back down to what your original size was. It goes back like maybe half, maybe 1 foot more, and your foot size changes when you have a baby. Can you believe this? Anyway, it's so awesome. Like, it's such a blessing having a baby. It's such a blessing. Having children is such a blessing, It also has challenges. Well, we'll keep talking about the challenges, but yeah. So that's just some of the physical changes with having a baby that I was like, man, we need to talk about this. I know it's out there, but we can never have too much information out there, So most of this stuff we'll talk about. Some of it is out there. Some of it people don't know about. Some of it, you're like, oh, dang, I had forgotten about that. But it's good to have the conversations, and it's good to put it out there for other women. This is just the physical stuff. We do have episodes about the mental stuff of postpartum. So this one I said was, I had a baby, now what's happening to my body? The other one is, I had a baby, now what's happening to my mind? And that's where the other postpartum changes come in. Surprising postpartum changes. But as women and as troopers that we are, we get through it. It's harder for some than others. It's easier for some than others, because some women, it's like baby, pop, 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 pop. And then for some of us, it's like one baby, oh, nope, no more pop. And then there are women who want it. They're like, Give it all to me. If I could just have a baby, you know, if I could just have a baby. So that just is just life, as in not complaining, because again, there are people who want this, who are like, are you, no, not complaining, but just the realities of what it is to have a child, to give birth, you know, to have a baby. Those are just the physical changes with the body, and I figured we'd come on here and talk about it today. What had happened was I had my makeup done, and I was like, listen, I think I could just film a quick mini post right here, because, you know, don't want the makeup to go to waste. I'm about to go wash my face now, but look out for, I had a baby, smiley face. Now what's happening to my mind? Coming up next. Love y'all. Bye.